Hello everybody, and in today's video we shall discuss about pandas and its various operations. So the data set we'll be working with is the World Happiness Report, and you can get it from this kaggle.com, from this World Happiness this site. And when you go to this data, you will go for this download, hit this button, and I have already been downloaded this data. So I'll show you in this my downloads. I have this data in a zip folder. Extract the files, and when you open it, you will see some like 5 years data, 2015 to 2018. So you have this file now. Now what you do is you go to I'll tell you a little bit about this data set. That this contains this World Happiness Report. It maps the happiness, how happy the world is, different parts of the world, the countries are, according to few parameters. And the first report was published in 2012. You can go through the history of this, and it ranks 155 countries as per their happiness. And this is mapped by the corruption index, how much corruption is there, how much freedom is there, how much social support is there, the GDP. So there are certain parameters which it takes into consideration, and then it infers the score and tell you how much happy you are. So we will just see what it is. And the dataset we'll be working with will be 2019 CSV. Since there are so many files, you can upload any file. So let's go ahead and see what we have for ourselves. So what you do is you go ahead, launch a Jupyter notebook, open this Jupyter and launch on Jupyter notebook just right there, and it will be launched in your default Chrome or default browser. And this is my homepage, and what I'll do is this is my homepage actually, and in the data analysis folder, this directory, I have all my Python folders. So what I do is you go to the upload. I'll show you how do you do it, and open this file in the downloads. Go to this World Happiness, this thing. Since I've already uploaded this 2019, 2018 and 17, I'll upload this 2016 CSV file. I upload this. This is how you upload the file in your Jupyter notebook. Now we have to make sure that this is in the same working directory on which we'll be working. So see, you can see that we've got 19, 18, 17 and 16 files here. So I'll be working with 2019 CSV. So you upload this file, and then what you do is you go create new Python 3, and this will be loaded in another tab, and wait for this Jupyter notebook to get open, and we can start working with this. So this is this untitled. You rename this as World Happiness Report, and we are working with pandas, right? So we just rename this. Okay, so it will not take these things. So I just do this. Now first of all, what we do is we import pandas as PD. This is standard because I'm importing pandas for my reading the CSV file and performing various operations. So we'll just go with pandas, and I will press shift and enter to run this. And what you do is that you hit this. When the vertical bar of blue appears, just hit BBB below. Okay, so the multiple cells will be added in your notebook. And now what you do is you just read this file. So how do you read this? In a DF called data frame, I will store this. So I will write here pd.read CSV, and the name of my file is 2019.csv. Okay, and in that I will write df.head because I just want to see. Okay, fine, let's write df only, and let's see. Okay, so this has loaded our file in df, and we see that we've got, this is how our data looks like in the form of rows and columns, and we can see that we have got 150 rows and 9 columns. Now let's check the first 5 entries by default. So for that I write df.head by 5. You can see the 5 entries, right? The above 5 entries, that is 0, the overall rank. First is Finland, and the 5th ranking is Netherlands. The first 5 you have seen. Let's check the bottom also by tail. So we check the bottom 5, and the bottom 5 are are, you can say, Rwanda, Tanzania, Afghanistan, Central African Republic, and South Sudan. And see, the score is very low. And you can also see that GDP is also low, social support is low, health life expectancy is very low. See, it's so low. And then freedom to make choices is again very limited. Generosity is less, tribes usually, and perception like of corruption is high in these countries. So that's why you see that the happiness is less. Okay, they're ranking low in happiness. Now what you do is you check the shape of your data. Okay, and you write the shape, and this is, so you can see that you have got 156 rows and 9 columns, and this 156, even 0 is included here. Okay, see this 0 here, indexing. Now next, let us see about what else we can see with pandas is like df dot describe some numerical information. If you want some statistical information of count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, and percentile. And next you can also see that the maximum GDP is 1.68 and the minimum GDP is like 0. You have country with having minimum GDP as 0. Then that's Central African Republic, negligible. Life expectancy you can see here, minimum and maximum, right? So you can just compare things. Okay. Next we go to df.info, and in this df.info, what I will get are two information, and I will get here whether I have got any null values in this and the data types. So I have not got any null values. It is non-null. All the entries are filled. And in data type, I have got first one as this rank is integer and this country or region is object. Rest are in float. Okay. So you if you have to check this individually also, you can just write data.dtypes and shift and enter. So individually, it will just give you the data types. Okay, and if you want to check that data dot like is null and dot sum, if you want to check, so it will check, it will give you that you don't have any null values. So individually, if I want to check, I can check it, and if I want to check it like in a combined manner, I can use info. Okay, fine. Next we go on to few more things, and let's see. Now suppose if I want to retrieve one entire column, right? I want to just retrieve one entire column. How do I do that? I will simply write the df from df just get, suppose I want generosity, right? So what do? I just press shift enter and I got this generosity, but I don't know whether what is this. This is just an index. There's no country. So to make this more meaningful, what I do is I can simply go to one more feature, and that is called ILog. I'll tell you log and ILog. So this location, it will go to length column and row wise. So in this, I want all the rows. So I give this sign, all the rows, and in that I make a list of um, country or region. That is what it's there, right? Country or region. The first this thing I want, and first column I want, and the second I want. Okay, let's take this generosity as I said, right? Okay, and I made this thing. Now I want to see the head. So this is what I got. See, so what I get in this location, I will retrieve my information in the form of rows and columns. So I have been given these rows and columns. Suppose if I just want more entries, I want to see 20. So I can just hit inside this parenthesis 20. I pass the argument and I get the top 20 countries having generosity on what scale, and you can see this, right? Okay. Next, let us retrieve something else. Okay, So this was location. Now I am talking about the next thing, and that is, let's check what is that ILog is. ILog. And this ILog you give as 0 is to, like, suppose, okay, I'll show you one thing. The difference you notice. I show this that it is 1 to 20 and see what it gives me. It gives me from 1 to 20, that is 19, alright, from the position it is giving me. Now, what is the difference between this and when I write df.tail 20, or suppose if I write here df.head 20, as we mentioned ahead. So just see it minutely. This df.head20 gives me from the 0th index till the 19th one from the index values, and this location, and as you can see, this location is not giving me the 0th column, the 0th row. Okay, it is giving me from first. So Finland is not there, which is ranking first here, as I can see, and it is missing here. So what do I do here to get the same result? I can just simply, either I can make it as 0 is to 20, so I can get the 0th row also, or I can just, if I don't want the 0, I just want between 10 to 20, I can just get that also. Okay, and if you want something like from the location, if you want different rows from what to what row, suppose you want from 100 to 120, so you can just have that also. You can see that, right? And if I suppose if I want from 120 to suppose 130, I can get that too. Okay, so just experiment with this data. Now let's just move on to the next thing, and that is ILog we've done, and we've seen the difference between head and tail. Now let me tell you about the one more feature of ILog, and that ILog, what does it do? So suppose I want specific columns. Here I am getting all the columns. Now I just want a few columns. What do I do? And few rows also. Suppose I don't want many rows, I just want like till 10, and I don't want all the columns also, so I just want just this. So let's see, I've got just 3 columns, the initial starting and top 10 rows, as you can see. Okay, so I got these 3 columns and rows. Now what else can I do? Can I increase it? Yeah. Now see one thing, I cannot increase things here. If I do that, suppose if I do here 5, it will give me what it will give me. See, you see it yourself, and the overall rank it has given me like this. So just get back to our previous, some meaningful retrieval, right? Okay, next we move on to something when I want multiple columns and I want from ILog. How do I get it? So df.ilog, what I do is I get here in a list of list, I pass particular. Now suppose I want particular entries, like I want a country with on the 0th position, 10th position. Suppose I go on to like 40th position, 70th position, 140, or like 180 something, and I pass it in a form of a list wherein it will take all the entries, and then I will take 1 2. Okay, let's just take this. And this is giving me an index error. And what is that error? Okay, I have done something like 180 is not there. So let's see. Okay, so this is just giving me some positions and overall rank. Now I also want the name of the countries, and I also want something called 6. Okay, let's see. So this has given me the overall rank of the country, and these are the index. So on the first position is Finland, and I see that the 6th column was freedom to make choices. And if I just want like one more column, I can add that. and I get perception of corruption. If I want one more column, I can add that too, and I get social support. So you can go on adding, you can go on deleting. So you can see that in the 11th overall rank is Australia, and you can see its various features. Suppose you want to just don't want this freedom of this thing, so you can just freedom of making life choices, delete it, and then you can just get this. If you want just the perception of corruption country, you can just group this like this. Okay, you want to add more countries here, you can add more countries. You can just have a view of more countries, and you can see India here, 0.085 corruption index, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can just compare with various countries, various ranking, and so on. Okay, next we move on to a function called group by. Okay, which also does the same thing like ILog is doing. So what I do is that df dot group by, another feature of Panda which is important, and we often use this feature, and I want to group by this with the country or region, and then you group this, and what you do this, I also want the like overall rank, and then what I do is dot sum. Now see what happens here, and I enter this thing. So now you check the shape of this so that you understand this thing. Previously there were 9 columns, now there are only 7 columns. And how this has happened? Because I have grouped them into 2. Now suppose if I do not group this overall rank, and if I also group like score here, okay, and you have to put it in this braces, score will come here, okay, alright. So now you can see there are 6 columns, okay, so the columns have been reduced, and you get this group by from with these features, right? Now if I want to check my df, what do I do? Now suppose I want to check what my df looks like again if I forget, so just write df.head and see that it is the same df, right? Same df, and you can just check the shape of your df, and that is 9 still, because I have not stored in anything, I'm just performing functions on that. Next, let's perform some interesting thing on our data set. Like suppose I'm creating another object called df2, and in that I'll do some operation in df, and in that what I'll do is I'll create one list, and here suppose I want to retrieve something from overall rank, and I want like if overall rank is, if it is like suppose less than equals to 100, so I want top happiest countries, and then what you do is you give me this df2, and you give me this df2, so this gives me the top 100 countries having, which are happy, as per this report, as per the parameters. So these are the top you can say Nepal is also coming in top 100, say Netherlands, and you can see this top 100, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and so they are good. Now you want, just if you don't want to see this, just see the shape of it, df2 dot shape, right? And this is 100,9. Now what I want is, now suppose I another object, if I create names, and in that I write that or suppose let's do this, I can see the bottom ones also by this, and I write here again like overall rank, and this overall rank can be, if I make it this here, and if it is less than equals to 140, so this will give me the bottom countries which are happy, and I have made it again in this object I have created, this df, and now what you do is you see this df2 dot shape, and you see 17 countries with 9 features, And if you want to see this df2.head, so you can just see this head, and you can see that the top countries having the rank greater than 140. Similarly, you can experiment here with different features here, like GDP is greater than equal to suppose 0.755. Then you list those countries. So you can just experiment here, like overall GDP. You can just group these countries together, and here is per capita is greater than equal to, suppose, like if I write here 0. Like greater than India or equal to India, and then I write, so there's like 103 countries, and if I see the head of it, and I find that the GDP per capita of the regions having greater than 0.765 or less than that. Or if you want to see just more countries, so just go ahead and see top 10 countries in this, okay, and see the tail of it to check the last entries, right? Okay, so there are many countries who are ranking above India, and even Egypt, Botswana, Ukraine, Iraq, Iran, Georgia, they are having great more GDP than ours. But this was in the year of 2019. Okay, okay. So now let's move on to a different feature, and here I am placing it in names, and I am using the ILog function, log function here. And in this log, what I do is I'll show you one more feature of Pandas, and here I just do this overall rank, and what I want from this is if the overall rank is suppose less than 35, okay, then what you do is you write here country is capital country or region. Then what you do is close this and write here names dot head. All right, and you can get it. What I have done is that I have given it a condition that if the overall rank is greater than 35, you give me that country or region. So this is giving me, and you can just check this thing also. Okay, so you can check the head that the top 10 countries ranking highest in this thing in your happiness index. So this is the happiness report, which it says for 2019. Now similarly, if you want to go on for more pandas exploration, go on 10 minutes to panda documentation. Also, I can just tell you that in another object, like suppose you can make a data, and in that again you read something like not read underscore CSV, that is how you read the data. And in this, since we have uploaded the 2018, 17 and 16 data, so you can just see this data.head, and just go ahead with this data. See, in this also, in 2018 file also we get the same data. You can also go ahead and practicing the various features of this thing, like df dot, again you can check the last five entries, last 10 entries, perform various operations, slicing operations in this, perform the location, retrieve the data from location, give it some condition and do it. Like here also you can give some condition. df, you can give health life expectancy. If it is greater than 0.739, you give the country. Let's see what it gives. df, if suppose this, the df just takes this columns, okay, life expectancy if I write, and if it is greater than, if I write here greater than 0.8, then country or region and names dot head. So you can just see here, and if you want to see the top 10, again you can see the top 10. Okay, so these countries are good in life expectancy also. And if you want to check the lower life expectancy, like for 4, then less than 0.4, okay, less than 0.5, key error, why it is key error. Health life expectancy, yeah, okay. If I just write here this thing, fine. So let me just revert back to what we have done before, and let me just tell you if it is greater than this. It ran in the previous scenario, but now it is not running. Let me just check it out. Log df log health life expectancy, and this is what, okay, this is what we have written. Healthy life, healthy life. Copy it. You can just copy this. Okay, healthy life expectancy, and when you will go ahead and you can see this, that if it is 0.8, and this gives me Saudi Arabia, Guatemala, El Salvador, Tobago, Uzbekistan, Kosovo, Kazakhstan, Bolivia, Paraguay. So these top 10 countries you have. And if you want to check the shape of it, like, so you can just write here names dot shape, and it will tell me that there are 81. Okay, so the 81 countries whose life expectancy is greater than 0.8. Similarly, you can check here like 0.4 if I give you, okay, country or region. And if I want to see the head, so these are the bottom countries who are having less life expectancy, and mostly found here in like south and south, like in Africa and African continent, and also you find some, yes, in the West Africa and in Central African something, you can find this here. And if you want to check the shape, it is 19 countries, right? Similarly, you can go ahead and experiment this location function, this feature with different parameters like freedom to make choices. If it is greater than 0.28, then country or region, or generosity. So go on experimenting with this. Pandas is great fun to work with, and in our machine learning projects we use these location functions, these ILog functions, to retrieve, on group by functions to retrieve particular columns and groups, and see our data and visualize those data. Okay, in group by is a great, like, it comes to aid when we are plotting the data. So this was all about pandas, and stay tuned for more pandas tutorial, time series and etc. I'll be uploading it soon, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned.